So welcome to my class. So we are going to discuss in this session about the heart's different valves and its function. So as you can see, the valves, the function of a valve is to ensure an unidirectional flow of blood through the heart. Unidirection means one direction. So as you can see in the image, it is a atrioventricular valve and it is closed. So the blood from the atrium flows into the ventricle, and to prevent the backflow of the blood, the cusps of atrioventricular valve is closed, so that the blood will not go from the ventricle to the atrium, so the backflow is prevented. So the first function of the valve is to prevent the backflow of blood. So there are two atrioventricular valves. First one is it is located at the two atrial ventricular junctions. So both the cuspid valves are atrioventricular. Both the cuspid valves are atrio to ventricle. So both ventricles of the heart help in the backflow. It prevent not help. It prevent the backflow into the atria during contraction of ventricles. So when the ventricle contract to flow out the blood to the pulmonary artery, so the blood from the atrium goes through the cuspid valves. So the valves prevent backflow of the ventricle. So attached to each valve flap are chordae tendinous cords. So as you can see, this fibrous flaps. These fibrous flaps are called chordae tendineae, or also called heart strings. So the strings help in it is attached to each valve flaps. So this is the valve and this is also a valve. So each valve flaps contains two connection of strings, and this strings is called chordae tendineae. So tendineae means it's a type of tendon ligament, I think. Tendinae. So it's a cords. So cords means strings. So it's like string-like structure that is connected to the valves, and it anchors what's the function of chordae tendineae? It helps in the anchor the cups to the papillary muscle. So the heart contains papillary muscles, which is protruding from ventricular walls. So the papillary muscles are originated from the ventricular valves. This is the ventricular surface. So the papillary muscles, the chordae tendineae connects the valves or the cusps to the papillary muscles. It anchors. Anchors means as anchoring of the ship, like to the sea. So it anchors the cuspid valves in proper places. When the papillary muscles contract, this muscle contract before the ventricle to take up the slack in chordae tendineae. These muscles help in contract before the ventricle to take up the slack in the chordae tendineae. So this cuspous atrioventricular valves is opened by these papillary muscles, and this papillary muscles is directed towards these cusps of atrioventricular valves are directed towards the papillary muscle, so that the inversion of valves. So if the ventricle is possessing pressure, so the inversion of the valve, as you can see in this picture, is a perfect inversion. The inversion is avoided. So the pressure inside the ventricle is not inverted under ventricular contraction. So the pressure during the pressurized contraction of the ventricle, the valves prevent the inversion of blood flow in the heart. Next is the right AV valve. So in the right AV valve, as you can see, the right AV valve, there are we said about the cuspid valves. Next is the right AV valve. So AV valve means the tricuspid valve. The tricuspid valve is also known as AV valve. The tricuspid valve is seen in the right atrium and right ventricle. So it is right AV valve, right atrioventricular valve. So the tricuspid valve is seen between the junction right atrioventricular valve. So it is three flexible flaps of endocardium plus connective tissue. It is three flaps. So that is tricuspid. So tri means three. Cuspid means flaps of cuspid means connective tissue. Flaps of connective endocardium plus connective tissue. So it is connected. The connective tissue is connected. The fibrous connective tissue is connected, or the tendinous cord of the tricuspid valve is connected to the endocardium. So the endocardium plus flaps of endocardium plus connective tissue forms three flexible cusps, known as the tricuspid valve. Next is the left AV valve, also known as mitral valve, also known as bicuspid valve. In the bicuspid valve, there is two flaps, two flexible cups. So it also resembles the two-sided bishop mitral hat. So we have the bicuspid valve is seen in the left atrioventricular valve. Next is we said about the atrioventricular valve, AV. They're situated between the junctions of atrioventricular blood flow junctions. So next is semi-lunar valves. That is the valves that goes from large arteries issuing from the ventricles. So it is the semi-lunar valves are situated. It guards the bases of the large arteries issuing from the ventricles. The flow from the ventricles, the blood flow from the ventricles are guarded by two semi-lunar valves to the artery. It consists of three pockets-like cups resembling a crescent moon. Crescent moon means half semi-lunar, half moon. Means it is like half moon structure. As you can see, this is a half moon shape. This is a half moon shape. You can see the semi-lunar valve opening. So it is according to the inversion of bicuspid and tricuspid valve, this is invertedly propagates the blood flow. So it guards the blood flow from the ventricles to the large arteries. Large arteries are like pulmonary artery and aortic arteries. So this each contains three pockets like cusps. So there are three parts of this cusp valve, three pockets. So the pockets only flow from one direction, and it's open under ventricular pressure. So the blood from the ventricles enter the large arteries through semilunar valves, and it is like three pockets like crescent moons. Next is pulmonary valve. Pulmonary valve is situated between the ventricle and pulmonary trunk. Next is aortic valve. So there is two types of semilunar valves: the pulmonary valve and the aortic valve. The pulmonary valve is seen between the right ventricle and the pulmonary trunk, and the aortic valve is seen between left ventricle and aorta. So the pulmonary valve contains what type of blood? Carbon dioxide rich blood, and the aortic valve contains oxygen rich blood. Aortic valve is in between left ventricle and the aorta. As you can see, this is the aortic valve, and this is the pulmonary valve. So this is the aortic valve, this is the aortic valve, and this is the pulmonary valve. So as ventricle contracts and intraventricular pressure rises, blood is pushed up against semilunar valves and forcing them to open. So the blood flows from the ventricles left and right. From the left it is to the left ventricle it is to the aorta. The right ventricle it is to the pulmonary trunk. So the pulmonary valve is situated between the pulmonary trunk and the right ventricle, and the aortic valve is situated between aorta and left ventricle. Next is as ventricle relaxes and the interventricular pressure falls, blood flows back from the arteries, filling the cusps of semilunar valves and forcing them to close. So the blood is rushed inside the pulmonary trunk or the aortic valve, aorta. The semilunar valve is open right now. In this image, it is open because it is flowing inside. As the ventricle contracts, so the blood is going inside. So the semilunar valve is open, and during this stage, the stage 2 semilunar is preserving. The pressure is preserved inside the semilunar valve. So it is only one directional. So it is helping in only in one directional flow. Thank you.